Hey guys, Josh with LynkSpyder. Right off the bat, I apologize for the noise. This is sort of an ad hoc video for a topic that has been coming up recently, and we sort of wanted to address it really quick without having to get into the lab and in the studio and do a full presentation. So the laser's running, it's very noisy in the shop, but hopefully you can bear through that as we get through this topic. So the topic tonight is mounting a cell phone to our product. We've had a couple questions about what's the recommended setup, what's the recommended procedure. And as far as hardware goes, we do recommend this ReadyCam clamp to actually mount the phone, and then this small rig magic arm to give you some adjustment, okay? So the way we would recommend you mounting this, first recognize how this clamp works. This threaded item right here does nothing but tighten down on your phone. So as you mount your phone, continue to tighten this to hold your phone in place. This has nothing to do with the mounting on the arm or our product, okay? On this side, there is a threaded tripod socket. It's a standard 1/4-20 threaded tripod socket, and that's where this magic arm is gonna go. This magic arm will have two ends. One end has a lock nut on it. We do not recommend that you use that on this side because this has plenty of surface to hold against this step, and we're gonna take advantage of this surface on our tab. So the first thing that I'm going to recommend that you do is tighten this down so that nothing moves around on you. And we're going to mount the magic arm to the clamp right away here, okay? Make sure you give that a really good tight so that that's good and tight on there so we know this doesn't come loose on us, okay? And then we're going to make sure that this lock nut is all the way back. We're going to lay this over our tab, probably in the back position. It doesn't need to be moved forward. You can adjust that later as you need. And make sure everything's good and tight. Now, as you can see, it's not really in the right location, and that's no problem because we're going to adjust that with this magic arm. Right now, we just want to make sure everything's in a good tight position, okay? So the thing we want to do now is we want to unlock this, which I'm in a bad angle here. We want to unlock this, and now that we've done that, this magic ball is going to allow us to move anywhere we need. And you've got two ways that you could mount this. You could mount it like this so that you have easy access to your screen. But if you do that, you're not going to be able to get close enough to the fence. If you have one of those lenses that you snap onto your camera, you may want to do it this way so that you can back it off the fence a little bit. But for just the standard camera setup, we recommend that you mount it like this, okay? So I'm screwing this all the way back. I'm going to take my camera with the lens on the top left here, and I want to just get it good and tight. Now, depending on the application that you're using to record, you may want to align this either way so that it's not in the way. And I'm going to get in the grooves here. It's hard to do. It's easier to do up against the fence. Okay. All right. So now we've got our camera mounted nice and tight. Our recording would be over here, so we got plenty of room to do that. And so at this point, you want to sort of align this till you get your camera on the fence in the opening where you want, as close as you can get it so that fence is not in the shot. And I like to take this and push it right up against the LynkSpyder so it's nice and solid. That reduces a lot of vibration. So once we've got that, we're going to tighten this guy down about as tight as we can do it by hand. I don't necessarily recommend that you use a tool, although you could use a pair of pliers if you were real careful. If you over tighten this, you could potentially break one of these, and then of course it's not going to hold. But once this is nice and tight, this guy's not moving around. If you find that your camera is moving just by sag or weight, I would first check to make sure that this is tight so that your camera or your phone is tight in this clamp. Then I would make sure that these two threaded locations are tight because they could turn around on you. And if that's not it, it has to be this guy right here. And you just have to give it a lot more crank on it, okay? But once this is on there, this guy's not moving at all. You do kind of want to keep this as low as possible. You don't necessarily want this straight up in the air. The longer the leverage, the longer the lever, the more rotation could happen. The more we narrow this down from this pivot point, the less movement this has to go. Okay, if you find that your device is heavy, say you've got one of those devices that's got a really heavy battery on it, and it maybe is a little bit too much for this, we are actually experimenting with one of these guys right here. After we've played with it a little bit more, we'll give you the link on one we recommend. But this is what they call a 5 kilogram magic arm. It's made by a different company, but there's several of them that are out there. It has these washers in here to create a little bit more of a fluid movement so it doesn't just flop around on you. But 5 kilograms, awful heavy. These are really meant for big DSLRs. But if you wanted to, you could certainly do that. As you can see these two side by side, you'll recognize that this one is almost twice as big. So if you do something like this, unless you're able to really get, you know, that mounting down like this, you may find that your device has to be over the top of the LynkSpyder or your slider bar all the way down in order to get enough adjustment. Anyhow, we'll be playing with this and we'll let you know how that goes. But this is the setup, the recommended setup for mounting a smartphone to a LynkSpyder on chain link fence. And if you guys have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. LynkSpyder.com, on all the social medias at LynkSpyder. Thanks a lot.